Thank you so much for hopping on to my free webinar tonight. I'm very excited. This is my first self-produced event, so it is so wonderful to have so many of you on here. And I know there are a lot of people who are planning to watch this after the fact. So this entire event from now until the Q&A at the end will be recorded. And I have a lot to go over in this quick 30 minutes, although I'm sure we'll go over. So I invite you to hold your questions to the end, and you'll be able to ask them. Just ask me, or if you don't want to talk, you can put them in the chat that is at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and I will look at the chat after the event. It's just me running the show tonight, so I'll have to keep my eye on the chat. So before I share my screen, my name is Lindsay Smith, and welcome to Take Control of Your Stuff. I am very excited to help you better understand what you have and go about the process of helping you take control of those heirlooms, those artifacts, those sentimental items, those family treasures, and other things that may be bogging you down or overwhelming you, or perhaps you just have questions about how to better take care of these things that are so important to you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get the presentation started here. All right. Yeah. And here we are. Let's take control of our stuff, shall we? So again, I'm Lindsay Smith from Exhibitsmith. Before I begin my talks, I like to get everyone on, on the same page as to what to expect from me and who I am and who I am not, and that will help help everyone understand what we can really accomplish from what I'm about to say tonight. So I have about 25 years of experience working in and around museum artifact collections, archives, all aspects of preservation, of helping with family heirlooms, with organizational collections, with all kinds of tangible history, right? From photos to papers to furniture and everything in between. I'm also someone who is, a person. I have a lot of stuff as well. So I'm dealing with these things in my personal life as well as my professional life. And I love doing these talks because it helps me share what I've learned on the job with the general public, with the hope that I will be able to help you out. Things I am not an appraiser. I am not an antique dealer or anything like that. People who work in the museum field, with archival field, we do not assign monetary values to items. Instead, we look at the artifacts' other kinds of importance. We think of the stories they tell, the history that they provide, those feelings we feel when we look at an heirloom or look at an old photo, and we can connect to a person, a place, a thing, a time. That is the value that I and my colleagues find in these kinds of items that I'm going to help you take control of tonight. I'm also not a conservator. I don't do the cleaning processes. I don't do the repairs. I focus on preservation. So I focus a lot on making sure that the item, whether it's a newspaper article or a couch, is in the proper environment, in the proper storage, surrounded by the materials it needs to keep it safe. The preventative preservation. I'm also not a professional organizer. I do not give talks on how to declutter your house. I joke that I probably should attend a talk on how to declutter your house. My expertise and what I focus on are helping people with those unique items that have a little extra something special that can be harder to prioritize or figure out what to do with. Not just walking around your house throwing away, this and that. So I promised you all a preservation checklist. I put a link to the checklist in the chat, so feel free to click on that, download it, print it. You will also receive that link in an email that will be with the email for this recording tonight. So you'll be able to watch this recording and download the preservation checklist. So you don't have to worry about getting it right now. But essentially everything I talk about tonight is on the checklist. Tonight, we're going to go over not necessarily the nitty gritty of how one will preserve various items. I have a lot of content, a lot of programs I'll talk at the end that focus on specific things like that. Tonight, I want you to ask those questions that you need to ask before you really get started. So you will not feel overwhelmed, so you can feel in control, you know what you have, and you know how to move forward from here. So quickly, we're going to go over what you have. You're going to want to know where it is. You're going to think about your project goals, think about your preservation priorities. You're going to need to know what resources you have available to you. And perhaps most importantly, you want to know how you're going to measure success at the end of this project. Excuse me. So first of all, it may seem obvious for me to say, well, you need to know what you have before you take control of your stuff, right? Your things. And I'm sure a lot of us feel like we know what we have in our home. But when we're planning a project that may require different resources, different time needs for different types of materials, we really want to have a good understanding of exactly what are you dealing with here. If you only have a few things, or tonight, if you're only worried about your photos or you're only worried about your quilts, that's fantastic. A lot of people who attend my programs have inherited large amounts of things. They have entire houses of things, or they have collected heirlooms and important treasures over the years, and they have a little bit of everything. So I invite you to go ahead and take some notes as you're thinking about what exactly are you dealing with. Do you have a lot of old photos, family papers? Do you have collectible items, Hummels or glassware or plates? Do you have housewares? Do you have grandma's china and your great aunt's china and your mother-in-law's china? Is that something that's getting a little out of hand? Do you have a lot of fantastic furniture, whether it is antique and just kind of important because of its provenance, or perhaps it's important to you even if it isn't old or particularly special? These are big, bulky items that can be somewhat difficult to manage depending on what your goals are. Do you have a lot of textiles? Do you have a lot of quilts? Do you have a lot of shirts? Do you have a lot of formal wear or doilies? Or do you have a little bit of all of this, and all of a sudden you're realizing, oh, wait, I have a whole museum in my house. Where do I even begin? So we want to, I see a lot of people in the, oh, thank you, Tammy. Yes, the preservation link, is it? Yes, scroll up and you can see that link. Wonderful. Thank you. You also want to think about how much you have of each of these items, because you might start out thinking, oh yeah, I can manage this or I can manage that. However, once you start realizing that, oh, I have a closet full over here and I have a garage full over here, or I have this dresser full of stuff over here, it starts to get a little more complicated. So if you were working in a museum or an archive or with a collection, you would want to sit down and document exactly how many boxes or how many shelves of items you have. I don't expect you to do that right now, but I want you to have all this front of mind so it will help you from getting overwhelmed down the road. And as you're thinking about all of these things you have, this is what I enjoy. You take an object and you figure out, is it just an ordinary object? Did grandma give me this object? And yes, it's from her, but it's not really that special. Or is there something behind it? Is there a meaning or a story or an event behind it that makes this heirloom truly extraordinary? And that will dictate the care you may want to give it in the future. Not everything is extraordinary, right? That's why things get to be extraordinary. So you want to think about what you have. Feel free to take notes, jot these things down. And in my other programs, I go into depth of thinking about what can be ordinary and extraordinary and why you should keep things and how, but this is a short talk for tonight. Next, as I alluded to in the previous slide, you need to know where your stuff is. And I invite you to take a stroll and take notes because you may have forgotten that this cabinet has this or that's there. Also, we want to make sure if your stuff is safe and accessible, right? If there are items in our lives that we might want to have in a deep storage that we really don't want to access that often, but for the most part, I believe that we should be able to access the things in our home. If you are storing things just for the sake of storing things, and it's hard to get to, if your heavy boxes are on the top shelf or you're not able to lift something, you're really not able to use it or to enjoy it. So you want to make sure that your heirlooms and your treasures are somewhere where you can enjoy them. This next bullet point is one I go into depth in my other more specific programs, and that is the storage environment, right? Climate control of your storage area, the environmental conditions. Is it too dry? Is it too wet? Is it too light? Is it too hot? Do you have things stored in storage containers or in areas that are made of materials that will harm or protect your items? Again, I'm not giving you the specifics of that right now, but essentially, if you have an attic full of heirlooms, your attic may be the most beautiful climate controlled attic in town, or your attic may, have a leak and a family of raccoons living in it. So I encourage you to walk around your house, look at where all these treasures are being stored, and make your best judgment that they are somewhere safe and accessible. And then after that, you can get down to the nitty-gritty of actually the correct storage and the correct supplies and all that. So now that you have a kind of a basic survey of what you're dealing with, now you can step back and reflect and really evaluate what your project goals are. Now, when I talk to people about saving their family photos or saving their books and papers or saving, downsizing your heirlooms and collectibles, those are some of the talks I give. Everyone in the room has a different goal. Some people want to essentially become their own museum curator and have everything beautifully inventoried and beautiful acid-free folders and make it all perfect. Some people are looking to get rid of 90% of their items. Most people are somewhere in between. So are you concerned with creating better displays throughout your home of your collectibles, of your family photos? Are you planning to use items and how to take control of maybe protecting items that you are actively using? A big example to this would be furniture. If you have furniture that's very important to you, maybe it'll require a little TLC, place it in a different spot in your home, or just be careful of how you're using it. Again, you don't need to put everything on display, but I also encourage people to keep their items accessible. So this is a project goal that some people have, just to live around their stuff in a more protected way. If their photos are falling out of a box, that's not very accessible without the threat of them being damaged, right? So we want to create that accessibility. Again, some people really want to preserve and document and organize and even digitize their items. They want to have a record of their stuff, which is fantastic. They want to put their photos or their papers or their china in the correct storage materials. This is their goal. This is what they want. They want to get it all physically preserved and organized, similar to how it would be done in a museum setting. A lot of other people, they might be in a place where they have a lot of stuff that means a lot to them, and some of you may fall into this category, but you realize that you don't need or can't hold on to all of it. And a lot of people, their take control of your stuff and your heirlooms results in finding ways to pass much of that material along and keeping the items that are the closest, nearest, and dearest to your heart. So if I were to ask everyone on this call tonight what your project goals are, they would probably be very different. Right. And that's one of the fun things about doing these programs is because I get to hear from the people who have very specific goals, specific collections, specific needs. There are no right or wrong answers for your project goals, but it's a good opportunity to think about them before you dive into trying to organize. Next up, know your preservation priorities. So you know what you want to keep, you know what you want to display. Are there items that need extra care? So as you go through your collections, you want to assess their condition. Do you have books or papers that have been water damaged? Do you have photos on the wall in a sunny spot that have been have light damage? Do you have textiles that have been hung in a way that perhaps the garment's shoulders are starting to sag or fray? These items probably will become, if they are items that are especially important to you, those items probably will become a priority as you work through the different steps of taking control and preserving your stuff. So what collections need the most attention? Now, again, there are no right or wrong reasons for this. If I were working in a museum with a collections policy and a collections plan and a collections scope and all these documents that are telling us what our collection priorities are, then I would have a good idea of what needs to be cared for first, et cetera. But you have the permission to do whatever you want with your stuff, right? So how you prioritize their preservation is completely up to you. Because you have that leeway. There's no one who's going to be tapping your shoulder saying, you need to get that sweater professionally conserved because it's fraying. If you say, well, I don't really care about that as much as I care about this other priority, these other items. And realizing that you have complete control over these heirlooms, over these treasures, even if you've perhaps inherited them from someone else, can really just kind of get in your head that, yes, you have control. You get to be the curator. You get to make the decisions about your own collection. And of course, probably none of us have infinite resources. So as you're coming up with these priorities, you need to figure out how you want to allocate those resources of time and space and money and additional support you may need. So speaking of, know your resources. And a big one when you're working on taking control of your stuff is understanding your space. You can stuff a coat closet from floor to ceiling with your stuff, and then you can push the door closed and lock it and walk away, and technically everything fits in that closet. But if we're talking about heirlooms, family treasures, things that are important, think about all those items on the bottom of the pile, right? That is, you are not preserving them properly. You're not storing them properly. They're going to get damaged. They're not going to be easy to access. So to properly store things, you're going to need to have more space than you probably realize, especially if you're going to incorporate acid-free boxes and enclosures and proper storage situations of stacking things or not. You're going to need space. Also, you need to be very honest with how much time you have. If you are hoping to organize a gigantic box, bins of family photos from you and perhaps loved ones who pass them along to you, that is going to take a lot of time. And do you have the time necessary to tackle that whole project? Or do we need to go back to our preservation priorities and maybe pick some photos and tackle just that chunk before you move on so you don't get overwhelmed and burnt out? So what additional resources might you have available? You might have access to programs, or you might have access to software or machinery, perhaps at your local library, if you're looking to scan or digitize records or images. Sometimes you don't need to pay for these things if your local library or a community organization has those at the ready that you can use. But if you also have funds available for vendors, you can speak with a professional organizer and have them come in and have them kind of help you prioritize your heirlooms from the rest of your things. You can work with a vendor who will digitize all your media, your photos, your negatives, your film, VHS tapes, even papers. There are a lot of vendors out there doing digital services. And do you need someone to help you manage the whole project? You probably won't hire that out, but do you have a family member or a friend or someone who you can bounce ideas off of, help keep you on track and help manage they can come in when you're knee deep in boxes saying, I should have started with a smaller amount of stuff, I'm overwhelmed. They can help you get on track and stay on track. And of course, most importantly, a lot of these projects will feel like they never end. I'm thinking a lot of photo projects, of going through papers. If you are an avid book collector, I'm thinking of if you are actively hoping to downsize a lot of these heirlooms. These projects seem like they're ongoing. So before you jump in, you need to just think about how you're going to measure success. So you understand when you've hit the next phase, when you've reached that benchmark, and when you've felt good about the first chunk of the project. So if you know what you have and where it is, maybe that's how you're going to measure success. After this call, you'll wake up tomorrow with a clipboard in your hand. You're going to walk around your house. You're going to finally keep track of where my stuff is, where grandma and grandpa's stuff is, where the uncle's stuff is, where this other stuff, and you're going to just feel good because you know where it all is. And if that's you taking control of your stuff right now, that's fantastic. Perhaps you're going to measure success when your collection is well preserved, well organized. You have every china plate padded in between the proper padding in case an earthquake comes. You have everything inventoried. It's readily available. It's really type A, kind of over the top. Everything is done. Or perhaps you're looking to create what I refer to as a personal product of some sort. And I'm talking about completing a photo album or getting a collection digitized or creating that inventory of your kids' art or whatever it is. Something that you can hold in your hand and say, okay, I've completed this part of the project. So that is a very quick overview of this preservation checklist. I invite you to get that checklist, walk through your home, walk through your mind, think it over, so you are confident knowing what you have, where it is. Start setting those project goals. And again, you are in control of your stuff. So you can set the goals as you see fit. Some people get like a wall in front of them because they feel as though they need to do everything 100%, like a professional would, or it's just overwhelming. And just set those project goals accordingly. You, right? And your collection. And know your preservation priorities and your resources. Preservation supplies can be very expensive. Space is finite. So it's okay that you work within the resources you have. And again, know how to measure success. Now, this is a very quick introduction. If you are interested in diving deeper into any of these topics, this is the first self-produced, as I said, the first self-produced event that I've done, and I'm so excited all of you are here. I also have some other webinars coming up throughout the summer that I'm excited about. These are my two most popular talks, downsizing heirlooms and collectibles. I walk you through kind of what we talked about tonight in depth of knowing how much space and resources you have, because when you're thinking of downsizing, the easiest thing to say is I'm going to keep everything. And we kind of walk through the fact that no, you're downsizing because you don't have space or you don't have resources or you don't want the stuff. And then I talk about different conversations to have with different people and the many options you have available to you as you are looking to pass your treasures and your heirlooms along. It's not as easy as some of the other things, right? That you might just put in a garbage bag and throw in a bin somewhere. We really get into the nitty-gritty of working through some of these items that are the items that are more special to you and that are harder to give up for various reasons. So I have an evening webinar coming up and a noon webinar coming up for the downsizing heirlooms and collectibles if you're interested. I also have 2 events. Saving Your Family Photos is a talk I have been doing on and off since 2009. I completely revamped it about a year ago, and it's been very popular. I use photos from my own personal collection, which is a lot of fun, and I go through how we think about photography in society, how that's changed. So when we're looking at our family photos from the past, we kind of put ourselves in their shoes of why did they take a photo of this and why does that still exist? I help you identify photos from the dawn of photography to present, because a lot of people come up to me with old photos and they can't date them because they don't know exactly how old that image is, or they don't know the tips and tricks of how to figure out exactly what they're looking at. And then, of course, we walk through the specifics of how to organize and supplies to use and digitization options, as well as the fact that so many of our images now, if not all, are born digital, and now they're clogging up our phones and our cloud services. So it really goes from the dawn of photography to present day, helping you save your family photos. I also have 2 summer dates for them, a noontime, June 6th, and an evening on August 26th. I invite you to check those webinars out. These have been very popular. I'm also I have all these other programs. I don't have any of these on the calendar for my webinars right now, but Saving Your Stuff 101, Saving Your Books and Papers, and Saving Your Clothing and Textiles, I am doing around the New Jersey and Philadelphia area where I am at a lot of libraries. I'm still hoping to do the Saving Your Wedding Dress ones soon. That has not been booked yet, but I have those available. And as I come up with more dates for webinars as we go into the fall, if there is a subject here that you're interested in, please reach out because I'm trying to figure out what to schedule next. I also have a mini course on how to donate artifacts to museums, which seems like a weird topic maybe, because if you're trying to give artifacts to a museum, why would you need to take a little online course about it? But it is actually very tricky sometimes to get your treasures, your heirlooms, accepted into a museum collection. And I walk you through the process of how to put your best foot forward and the reasons why your artifacts may or may not be accepted and how to help facilitate that process. And it comes with a bunch of videos, exercises, and resources, and an 18-page course guide that I actually just put on my website. I put the course guide separately on my website as a separate thing to purchase if you don't feel like watching videos of me. The guide is available as a standalone. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I've worked in and around museums and artifacts and with heirlooms for the last going on 11 years. I've owned Hangerby museum quality padded hangers. I sell textile preservation supplies. I know some of you on the call tonight found me from Hangerby, so welcome. This is all me. Exhibitsmith and Hangerby are just kind of all me. I like to brand things, I guess. So if you're interested in textile care and preservation, I invite you to check out Hangerby. All of this links from my website at exhibitsmith.com. You're already on my email because you joined tonight. But if you're ever curious about anything that I am up to, if you have questions about any specifics or topics or ideas of how I can help you further save your stuff, I really would appreciate. I'd love to hear from you. And I will be sending you a link to this video and the preservation checklist probably tomorrow. So check your inbox. And that is my presentation. So I'm stopping my sharing screen and I'm going to go into, anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Well, not a
Yes.
question. You did a marvelous job of helping me set my goals, which turn out to be, I'm going to give everything to you.
Okay, this is my dad talking. I think he needs to attend my downsizing talk. Hi, Dad.
Well, you knew that was coming when you sent me the link. Nice job, sweetheart.
Thank you. Anna, I will send you the webinar. I am not planning to send the slides, but pretty much everything I went over on the slides is in the checklist.
I have a
So
question,
hopefully that
actually.
will. Yes.
First of all, where are you located?
I am in New Jersey outside Philadelphia.
Okay. Can I ask a question about my own collection?
Sure.
Okay. My husband, who passed away in 93, was a professional photographer who worked with Ansel Adams and Steichen, printed for Steichen at the Museum of Modern Art. He left me a huge collection, and we worked on a book before he died, and it's in storage right now. It's been in storage for like 20 years, and I really need to do something with it before I, pass away myself. So I'm sort of lost because most of it is not digitized. It's in either exhibit form or slides or prints or, framed photographs or whatever. He had an exhibit, and anyway, there's a
So are
lot.
you, yeah, it sounds impressive. It sounds really neat. Are you looking to get it better stored? Are you looking to get it off your hands and sell it or pass it along? What are you
Well,
thinking?
okay, he had some photos in stock which are no longer there, but he was selling stock photos, but because he did corporate work and art work. Um, but I want to publish a couple of books of his work, and then it's got to go somewhere, to a museum or somewhere. I'm not sure exactly how to deal with it.
If you're looking to donate it, um, you might want to look at the mini course I have or the course guide I have available on donating to museums and looking at what specific museums may be looking for. For a collection that specific, you'll really want to
And
figure out exactly what museum it would be best at, and then speak directly to the people who would be experts in that.
some of the photos are completely historical, like the World Trade Center before it was bombed.
Hmm.
Um, there's just a lot there, of New York City. He did an exhibit on trade. He worked for the Port Authority and walked up bridges and hung out of helicopters. So there's a lot of stuff that's really quite amazing.
I would. Do you have any kind of just kind of general documentation, or if you were to contact a museum about the collection, do you have it pretty well written up so they would know what you're talking about, really? Or
I have to do a little more work, but I have a few samples that are digitized, and I have his obituary that was in the New York Times. I don't have a lot because I've been so busy for the last 20, for the last 40 years. I mean, I'm not young. I've been so busy, I haven't really focused on it, and I really need to get it done. I used to have a design firm, and we designed a book, but now I don't know what format it's in. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to take over. I just wanted some advice quickly.
no,
Lindsay, do you mind if I step in here?
sure.
Uh, I think you will find there's a Steichen Society and certainly an Ansel Adams Society of some sort. And I would look for those, if your husband worked with Adams, uh, Ansel or his son or Minor White or any of those people, uh, these are well-known people, and there are people collecting all of that stuff and museums and dealers who deal with it. There's a lot of dealers in the Southwest for photos. Thank you.
Yeah, he cleaned out Ansel. He lived with Ansel Adams for a summer,
Oh,
assisted
wow.
him, cleaned out his cottage in Yosemite. He printed for Steichen at the Museum of Modern Art. So yeah,
I wish I'd have known him.
me too. Well, I wish he had lived longer. Unfortunately, he died of lung cancer. So, at 56 years old.
Oh, that's a
He
shame.
he
I
was a,
met Ansel Adams once. That was
yeah,
about it.
yeah. I mean, he
I
was,
would I would contact the societies. I would contact the museums he worked with. You have quite a collection. If you are looking for a way to get kind of an umbrella feel of the collection, since you haven't really worked with it in a while, you might want to find a photo appraiser who can come in, who's trained in in this era of photography, and see how they can help you get the collection in order. And then, yeah, you have quite a collection. I would go straight to those organizations and see what they think.
thank you.
Any documentation you have that mentions your husband and any of the Steichen or Adams is pretty valuable.
Well, he won the Howard Cullman
Really?
scholarship at the Port Authority, and they gave him $100,000 and a year off to do a trade exhibit. So I
Wow.
have that documentation, but I don't have anything from the Museum of Modern Art or from
Yeah.
Ansel Adams.
Oh yeah, I would contact the museum. I'd contact the
Yeah.
photographers societies. Yeah, you have a gem. You're not my typical saving your photos
Unfortunately,
person.
I don't have a lot of time. I'm not young and I don't have a lot of time.
Yeah,
Uh,
I would just reach out and just make it very clear that you have this collection, that this amazing collection, put its best foot forward. And I'm not saying that they'll be able to accept it or whatever, but those organizations will have the experts who will know better than myself what to do with those specific collections and who you should call if it's not them. But just make sure when you're contacting them, to save everyone time, that you get the point across that these are very, this isn't your run-of-the-mill person calling trying to donate photos. You have an amazing collection, it sounds like, and you just want to get that point across so they can help you out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck with that.
Thanks.
All right, Elaine had to leave. Thank you, thank you. Melinda, I will talk to you later.
Well, I actually had a question
Hi,
that had
Melinda.
to do with your talk, because I'm sure I'm not the only person with this question. It was great, your checklist and talking about walking through and kind of prioritizing things. So my question is, for people who have the wide variety of items and in various places throughout your house, would it be helpful once you've kind of done an initial walkthrough to then focus on an area of the house to try and do that if you can't decide what the priority would be?
Yeah, I mean, not knowing where your stuff is in your house. I mean, some people have photos in every room, but they want to do their photos. Some people just want to walk into their guest room and tackle that. So I guess it comes down to how your stuff is organized, and how much you need the space in that particular part of your house. You might also think of consolidating if you do have, China sets all through your house, maybe consolidating it to one space so you can be in better control. So the way you organize things really is up to you, and what will work best with you and your collection. And essentially how you prioritize too is up to you, because I'm not in your house looking at all your stuff. And a lot of people feel like, oh, if I need to know exactly what step 1 and step 2 is. And then I come in and say, well, it's up to you. And I hope to kind of empower people to do that and not have them kind of say, oh no, I don't know what to do. So I would say whatever works best for you, whether it's a room at a time or whether it's a type of item at a time, whatever's going to help you feel like you can accomplish things.
All right. Thank you.
Good luck to you. All right. Does anybody else have anything? Wonderful. Well, you can always email me. I will be in touch.
I have a question, sorry.
Hi.
I have some antiques that are 19th century, some American, some British, but they're not in fashion anymore. So is it, and my kids have no interest, of course, is it better for us to get rid of them through a local antiques dealer that takes collectibles, so to speak? I mean,
So
would you consider them a collectible or an antique? If depends on
what kind of items are you talking about?
tables mostly.
Okay.
And we have a slant front desk from the 18th century Philadelphia.
Oh wow. It's amazing being from the Midwest, doing my programs throughout New Jersey, and all of the old furniture people tell me about is just fantastic. And you're not alone in what do I do with this? I get a lot of people in my downsizing talk coming up to me afterward with issues just like yours. What do I do with this beautiful old furniture? Unfortunately, the furniture market doesn't seem to be real hot right now. You're not getting the prices that you could have gotten a couple decades ago on it. And it doesn't seem to be the style of a lot of people. So if you are looking to get it off your hands, I would go to various antique dealers. If you have particularly old pieces that you think might be worth a lot, you might benefit from getting those formally appraised. You can find an appraiser at appraisers.org. You can put in your location and your specialty. If you have things from the 1700s, if your local library isn't doing an Antiques Roadshow kind of day, sometimes they do that. They bring in an appraiser, and that can be helpful. But yeah, the furniture market, unfortunately, isn't really bringing in the profits that people are looking for. So I would recommend contacting a few dealers and seeing what they think. Always get more than one opinion and kind of go from there. I have a friend who owns an antique store, and I know he has interior designers frequent his shop. So he has some nice clientele that will pay good money for the antiques. So shop around and find the best place that you think your pieces should go to. And that's
Anybody wants them.
yeah.
Are you going to send that checklist by email? Because I missed the first part of your speech, so I didn't see it.
Yes, I just put the link into the chat. It's a weirdDrive.google.com. When I send the recording of this video tonight, it will also include that link to the checklist. And I'm hoping to get that email out to you tomorrow. Fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Yes, Melinda, I am hoping that with the 250th, I know Melinda's a Midwesterner, and being out here, it's amazing how many people are coming up to me with furniture from the 1700s. I'm just not used to it. There is so much out there that is just amazing.
A lot of it was in the 13 colonies, so it didn't get carted out on the wagons.
Yeah. Yes, it's wonderful that so much of it is around, and it pains me that there are so many people who can't or don't want to have it anymore, and there's no really easy next place for it. It's hard.
I know. I work with a house museum, and even we don't have any room for any of my stuff anyway, so it's too bad.
It's hard. I just walked around an antique mall for 2 hours last weekend, and just the amount of things I've seen in museums and I've seen in homes, and now I'm seeing it for sale. There's a lot of stuff out there. That's why I focus on keeping the items that have those personal stories, that really have those connections. Those are the things we really want to keep. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and end this. Thank you again for attending. I really appreciate it. Please check out exhibitsmith.com for future things, and I will be in touch via email. So thank you so much.
Bye.
Have a great night.